So our last ship for the Wave 10 expansions. This time we're taking a look at the first wave attack fighters for the Dominion. Little Cardassian Hideki fighters. No doubt I'm behind on these videos, so I'm sure you've seen them on the tabletop. Definitely a little force to be reckoned with. Kinda debating whether they're better or worse than the retail, or than the resource ones. I think they're better in the effect that they're much more customizable and a little more durable, but in the end they're pretty much on par. They're both just a fearsome force to be reckoned with, and we'll get right in and take a look at these. Here we have our Hideki attack squadron dial. I think it's identical to the resource version. One tight turns are nice. Every 2 maneuver. Lacking 3 tight turns. Has that 4 forward, that 2 come about in there. There you can see Hideki-class attack squadron. Extremely maneuverable, not exceptionally fast. 2 come abouts interesting on there. It's a shame it's a red on this while the Federation ones are white, but these are a little more heavily armed. Here we have our first wave attack fighters. They are unique. And they are a new type of ship, which means they have a new type of upgrades here. We actually have squadron upgrades. This one gets 3 of those. 24 points. You have evasive maneuvers and target lock. And our ability on this one, the top here is the attack squadron tokens, which is how many tokens you get in the stack on here, which are going to have your stats. We'll get to those in a minute. And under that we have our named ability for the named version here. During the roll attack dice step, you may disable one of your squadron upgrades to gain an additional attack die for that attack. Very nice. And our generic version here costs 20 points, only gets 2 squadron upgrades, and 4 tokens on the stack. Now the way these work are just slightly different from your normal ships. If you haven't seen the resource ones, they're very similar to those. They're actually just a hair different than those even, but in this one we get 5 on the stack. 2, 3, 4, 5. And they actually come with a start here. And you flip this over and this will actually go next to your ship if you want to. And it has your current captain skill number on it. Since the tokens that go into your base only have the Dominion logo, they don't actually have a number. It's just a reminder for you. You don't even have to use that piece. These are your stat lines here. So you're going to start out with a 6 attack, 0 evade, 1 hull, no shield on your first token, which seems pretty weak other than the 6 attack. But the way fighters work is no matter how much damage you take, you're only going to take 1 token off. And this gets flipped over, and again you can put that next to your ship if you want to represent you're down to a 6 now. And your stats change slightly as you go. I think on the first one of this, nothing actually changes other than your captain skill dropping. Then after that point, as you take damage, your attack's going to go down, your evade's going to go up because there's fewer fighters left in your squadron, basically, so you're harder to hit. And that keeps going all the way till you get to your last one. When you flip over your last one, the squadron is destroyed. You can read with the glare. The only difference between the basic and the generic is you have a start. 2 different starts. One starts on the 7 and one starts on the 6. Other than that, they work pretty much the same. It's an interesting concept. Makes them a lot more durable than most ships because they can only take 1 damage per attack no matter how hard you hit them. Which I can't stress enough how powerful of an ability that is. It's even more so on the Federation fighters, where they have a shield on top of the hull hit every time, and they regenerate that shield each time you blow up 1 fighter. So definitely makes fighters a threat. 24 points for your base ones is a little steep. It's 4 points more than the other ones, but you're also getting more tokens, I believe, on these. In the very least, the fact that first one doesn't change anything is really interesting, other than the captain skill going down. But the real thing that makes these stand out different than the resource ones is the upgrades. And there are a ton of these upgrades to choose from. Now, using the named ship, you're going to get 3 of these you can put on there. Keep in mind the points do add up really quickly, but they definitely have some awesome options. With the generic one, you're only going to get 2 on there, and you don't have to use all the slots. So, our first one here is the Hideki-class phaser banks, probably one of my favorites. 7 points, a bit steep, but one of the big drawbacks to fighters a lot of people forget is that they only have a maximum range of 2. The Hideki-class phaser banks upgrade your primary weapon to a range 3 and give you +1 to your primary weapon value. Still maxes out at 6, unfortunately, but even after you take some hits, that +1 is going to come into play and keep you right up at the top. Can only be purchased for Hideki fighter squadrons, and you can only put 1 on a single squadron. But the extended range, and after you take a hit or 2, keeping your attack up is definitely worth it. 7 points is a bit steep. Got to do some more playing to see if it's really totally worth it, but definitely one of the better upgrades. Next up we have aft disruptor wave cannons for 5 points. You can fire your primary weapon from your rear firing arc. If you do so, disable this card. No ship can be equipped with more than 1. Definitely a good one, especially starting off when you got the 6 attack dice. Being able to fire a 6 die rear attack is insane. At the cost of a disable, not too bad. On the fighters, they're very maneuverable, so not sure how often you need it, but gives you that ability to fly straight at an enemy doing a strafing run and then fly by them, and you can fire out the rear and still strafe them as you're flying away to make that turn to come back around. Next we have cover fire. It's 4 points. When defending, during the roll defense dice step, you can discard this card to add a number of defense dice equal to your current primary weapon value. No squadron can be equipped with more than 1. Definitely a really cool save yourself type of thing. For 4 points, adds a lot more durability to your fighters. The fact that they can only knock off 1 token each turn or each attack limits its usefulness, but basically if you use this at the beginning, you're going to get an extra 6 defense dice. May save you from losing a token or not. At a discard, not sure. It's a may, so you could always decide if you really needed it or not to use it. But other than that, it's useful. Just one time. I think there's better in here. Next we have escort for 4 points. As an action, you can disable this card to target a friendly ship within range 1 of your ship. Each time that ship defends this round, it adds a number of defense dice equal to the number of attack squadron tokens on your ship card. You can attack this round. It's wasting your fighters for a round because they're not attacking, which is probably one of their best things. They absorb a lot of fire, but they also put out a lot of fire. At the same time, starting off, you're giving your a friendly ship 4 or 5 extra defense dice at the beginning of the game and a little bit later. Could save your main ship from being destroyed. If your fighters can't shoot at anything, it's definitely an option. But the fact that it takes an action means you're going to have to use this during your action phase, and you're not sure what's going to turn out the rest of the turn, so it could be completely wasted if they don't even shoot at that ship. So, situational, but definitely useful. Next we have support ship for 4 points. When your last attack squadron token is destroyed, you can discard this card instead of removing that token. No ship can be equipped with more than 1. Basically gives you an extra hit, keeping you at this stat line for an extra hit. 3 attack, 3 agility, 1 hull. So if you happen to get hit, you fail your evade, you can discard this and stay at that stat line until you get hit another time. Keeps the fighters out there, keeps them more annoying. For 4 points, if you got the points, I see no reason not to take that one. Next up, we have flanking attack. 3 points. A wall of text. When a friendly ship within range 1 of your ship is attacking the enemy ship, that is also in your forward firing arc. If you haven't already attacked this round, you may discard this card and add in a number of attack dice to that ship's attack roll equal to the number of attack squadron tokens on your ship. You can add attack during the round you use this ability. No ship can be equipped with more than one. It's kind of a version of Barrage of Fire. It lets you forego your attack with this ship in order to bolster another ship's attack. And the positive aspect of doing that, a lot of people wonder why you'd want to do that. And what it ends up being is you've got a 4-die, 5-die attack coming from this ship and a 5-die attack coming from another ship. Your opponent's cloaked. They're going to get to roll their evasion, which is probably 2 or 3, plus their cloaked, which is another 4 dice. So they're looking at running 7 dice, 6-7 dice against your 5 attack. Whereas if you combine the two together, you're getting 10 dice versus their 6 dice. A lot better chance of having a hit, especially if the ship doing the firing has battle stations or something that can make that attack stick. A single attack with more dice is better than multiple attacks and lower dice in most situations. Against things like the Borg, anything with a 0 agility and no rolling no dice, it's not going to make too much of a difference, but definitely has its uses. Next up we have Photo Lock-On. This one's kind of a nice one, especially for the low points cost. When you're attacking during the declare target step, if you don't have the enemy ship target locked, you can discard this card to acquire a target lock on the enemy ship within range 1 to 2. Basically, it's a 2-point discard to get a free target lock on something you're going to shoot at anyway. With those 6 attack dice that you're starting out with, you're getting a free target lock, which gives you basically a free reroll. Definitely a nice thing to have. Next up we have Break Formation for 5 points. If your ship is not within range 1 of a friendly ship, you can disable this card to immediately perform a free attack with your primary weapon at -1 attack. 5-point card disables. It's kind of iffy, but at the same time it's reusable, which makes it a little bit better. Keeping your ship at range 2 or more away from friendly ships negates most of the other abilities, but if you're not going to use any of those anyway, having that second attack is definitely an interesting ability. I see nothing wrong with this one if you have the points to put it on there, especially if you're running more than one fighter, and we'll get to that in the end because there is a restriction on that, but definitely having a set of them flying around with this and keeping them at range 2 or more away from your other ships is definitely worth it for that extra attack, I think. So with this expansion, you've got your auxiliary and critical tokens, of course. You've got a disable token. There's a couple reminder tokens for some of the various upgrades that are available. You have your evasive maneuver, target lock R1. As with the resource fighters, you've got these Dominion tokens in place of the captain token. We have our various squadron tokens. Unlike the resource version, since these are a retail expansion, you do come with a mission. This one's Break Formation. Basically is a scenario based around using the upgrade card Break Formation. It's a 200-point squadron, or 200-point fleet, which is nice to see something larger. Includes at least one Hideki squadron versus a 200-point enemy. It's pretty much a standard 2-player game. They do have special rules for the scenario. The idea is you're trying to prevent the Federation from laying the minefield. And there's special rules for how they set up the minefield and how the game progresses. All in all, it's an exceptional pack. If you're a Dominion player, even better. Or if you're like me, a Cardassian player, even better. Some of the upgrade cards are a little pricey, but considering how underpriced the squadron is itself for what they do, you don't mind paying a little extra for some of the upgrades. Once you see them in play, they definitely are a little under points costed for what they can do, which is why they did go back through and put a few restrictions on them. The expansion does come with An additional rules card. Explains the special rules that apply to squadrons. They can only have a range 1 to 2. They can only be equipped with the squadron upgrades. Can't have a captain assigned to them. Talks about the tokens. When they sustain damage, they don't receive damage cards. You flip over the tokens. This one doesn't apply to these ones, but the Federation ones have shields which regenerate every time a new token is revealed. They ignore criticals, which is a nice thing. And I just noticed, now looking through here, the additional rules that they added later after these were released, probably due to being how powerful they are, they did add a few things, and the biggest one being that, so for each fighter squadron that you bring, you need to bring at least another ship with a hull of 4 or greater. So it kind of limits the swarm capability of them, but definitely still has some uses there. For the model, they're exactly the same as the resource version that we got before. I put a black wash on my other one. It actually made them look kind of cool. Brings out a lot. You really can't see, the video is not picking it up, but there is a lot of detail on these tiny ships. There, you can kind of get a view there of it. There's a lot of detail on these tiny ships. You just need something to bring it out. But cool little models. There we have our first wave attack fighters base. Front 90 and rear 90 degree arc. They lack the cool special ability that the resource ones had to fire out of their rear arc, but there are upgrades in the pack that allow them to do so. Definitely a cool new addition. Extremely powerful little ships. Very good for their points. Definitely worth picking up if you're a Dominion player or a Cardassian fan like me. I actually plan on picking up multiples because we play a lot of really large games where having multiples is going to be allowed. I even have a couple of the resource ones which I may start exchanging for these now that they're out. We made some special rules for those so we could use multiple resources, just on the fighters at least. No, I don't need that anymore. We have these. We have the official rulings on how to use multiples of them. And with all the cool different upgrades, definitely no reason not to buy multiples of these. You're not going to want a ton of them because of the limitation that you do need the other ships to field with them. But I could see you squeezing probably 2 to 3 in a decent sized fleet. Probably only 2 in a tournament legal fleet because of the restrictions on size that they use for those. If you're playing larger games, definitely more can be put in there, but fun little things. They're definitely an annoyance. They absorb a lot of fire, and they also shell out a lot of fire, so I love them. I can't wait to get a couple more and get some more playtime in with them, but that's it for this video, and we'll see you in the next wave.